And here we are, live again on Marketing Monday. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Watertown Oswego Small Business Development Center's Marketing Monday. This is, I think, our 15th or so week that we've done this with Nicole Willette, who's a marketing consultant based out of Canton, New York, and Bar Harbor, Maine. And I have with me Erica Davis, and my dog in the background, because yes, we're home this week. But everybody's used to that, right? We had 19 months of being at home. So welcome, everybody. And this is the last Marketing Monday of the year. So we're getting a little philosophical, and we're going to talk about marketing, New Year's marketing resolutions and business goal setting. Oh, and I just said that backwards from what's written. But that's what we're here to talk about. And it's important. Even if you're a person, even if you've never done something important, printer update for a printer that I don't even have anymore is in my, yes, technology is a joy.
Oh, yes.
Even if you've never been a list person or a resolution person, if you own a small business, you owe it to that business, you owe it to yourself, your financial position, and your employees, and your customer to give it a try. So we're here to show you pretty painless way to do so.
Yeah, and right, this is the time of year, right? To if you haven't thought about it already and really started to strategize your marketing plan for this year and that kind of thing, now is the time. This is a great week to do it when things are probably a little bit quieter. Hope everybody had a good Christmas, but it's time to start thinking about the new year. And with that said, Happy New Year too, because we won't see you until next Monday. So, hey, Nicole.
Hey, guys. Happy almost New Year, everybody. Oh, it's great, sun is shining, another day of business ownership. But excited to talk with you guys about goal setting. Do you guys
it's the hardcore people on here with us today, right?
The
hardcore is in between.
Well, this is available on the live stream too. So if you're missing it, or if you want to watch the rest of this later, feel free to bookmark it and come back, and the recording's available after, and most people do watch it after. So just today we're talking a little bit about goal setting, and we definitely have kind of different protocols. And I thought the three of us have been setting goals for a while. So we definitely have some different perspectives on it. And so maybe one of our perspectives resonates with you. Now, I'm going to share my very cheesy protocol that I use for my own goal setting. So don't judge the book cover. I know it looks like we're all in self-help land, but your best year yet, ! Is the book that I use. It is 10 questions to ask yourself as you're setting goals. And I'm just going to tell you this. You can go out and buy the book if you want. It's like $5 used maybe in some bookstore. But the questions are on the internet. So if you just look up your best year yet 10 questions, there are blog posts that have all 10 questions in them, and you can go through it. The main thing about what I like about this particular thing is that it makes you sit with each question for like 10 or 15 minutes. So, when you have that initial burst of idea, it's kind of like you're sitting in class and you're writing stuff down, and then you're you think you're done and you're sitting there and you realize you have to keep looking busy. And then that next round of ideas comes into your brain. And that's what I like about it, is it makes me sit with the questions for what feels like an uncomfortably long period of time. And usually that second round of stuff that comes out for each question, it ends up being the most helpful. So I made a few slides here. I would love you guys to riff on them too. I know we looked at these earlier, obviously, but feel free to jump in. I guess I'm saying out loud to everybody here, jump into the comments, and Liz and Erica are going to jump in too. But it's nice. I like this process. I've used it for 7 or 8 years now. And it's really cute to look back and see what my goals were 7 or 8 years ago. Cause I'm kind of way past it. And it's nice to kind of see that. So I like using the same goal setting process every year, just because I can look back and I can see how it went. But you can just ask yourself a series of helpful questions. Like I said, you can Google the ones in my little self-helpy book that I mentioned that I really like to use. But just consider, I like to use this process to sort of get all my ideas down and then organize them later. I don't know. Do you guys feel that way too? Does that work for you too? Just brain dump and then organize later.
Yeah, I definitely like the brainstorm idea. And kind of just to back up a little bit, I think that goal setting is such a subjective thing. Now, I know that there are definitely things with small businesses that, even people who aren't comfortable with it or don't have that natural tendency kind of have to sometimes force themselves to do it, right? I mean, I'm a little bit more in that, in that sort of loosey-goosey kind of, oh yeah, I need to spend some time this week, really thinking about things. So I'm looking forward to learning more about what your process is, Nicole, and especially with the 10 questions, because I haven't ever used that before. But again, I also think it's really important to kind of think about how you naturally work as far as goal setting for anything, not just marketing, is concerned, and try to, align how you do it in your process with that sort of what works best for you kind of thing. Even though it's good, even when you're setting any little goals, we try to go to that realistic stretch, right? And make sure that we're pushing ourselves a little bit, even though the goals, goal setting might not be natural to us. But for some people, those achievers out there, goal setting is like, you can't wait to sit for a couple of hours and get your goals, set. And I like what you said too, as far as that brainstorm first, really get your ideas down, and the organization will happen later when you figure out sort of your big plan and then the small steps to get there, but I love that brainstorming first. At least it gets you to sit down and start to think creatively, and also at your best time of day to do that, right, is also a good way to go. So
right. I think some people need to give themselves permission to do this, because this is a thought wandering exercise. And I want to say hi to Bryant real quick. Bryant is one of our clients. He's watching on Facebook, and he's one of our biggest fans. And Happy New Year, Bryant. All the best to you. He's got a really cool company, and one of these days we're going to profile to him. I've been threatening that for a while. Speaking of goals, there you go. But take the time. Don't feel like, oh, this is stupid, or, oh, I'm too busy. Yeah, you're busy. We all know everybody's busy. And yes, it's been a weird 2 years now, but that doesn't mean that you can't take the time. And if you have to budget it 20 minutes for this and then 20 minutes later, that's okay. And to Nicole and Erica's point, it is a lot like, personally, I love crossword puzzles. So I go through the whole thing and see what I can solve. And then I put it down. Well, sometimes if I like to beat myself up with it, I'll keep going over and over. But a lot of times I put it down, and then 2 hours later I come back and then I get 10 more clues. Boom, just like that. So if you write it down, or if you take the time, then you have that percolating in the back of your mind, and your mind, even if you may be serving customers, you may be plowing the driveway, you may be doing whatever, it's percolating in there, and let it come out.
Yeah. Oh, Nicole, we can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted.
I muted myself because my dog was also barking. Yay, working from home.
A lot of dogs.
But what I find too is sometimes I make it a social occasion, and I just say, hey, I'm doing this goal setting protocol. You can come over if you want. I put out snacks, and we literally sit there and we don't talk to each other. It's like study hall. So if you want to just have some friends over with some snacks to do this, feel free, if that motivates you to set aside the time to do it. And because what happens to me, and this is kind of my second point, well, part of the first point into the second point, is sometimes what I first write down isn't the most important thing. It's like, something that's bugging me, which, like we'll see the example later. Like my stagnant Facebook likes, they just bug me. They're not actually hurting me, but it just bugs me. But it's not necessarily the most important thing of my life, which I'll get to in a second. But what I want to ask is like, why, so if there's something that you're like, oh, I'd really wish I had more Facebook likes, and my Facebook likes are a little stagnant, asking why until you can't get to why anymore, like channeling your inner like 3-year-old. But why? Because usually what it is the Facebook likes aren't the thing. They're a symptom to the thing, but they're not the thing that's actually bugging you. I don't know. Do you guys and sometimes what you'll write down is sort of the superficial stuff, and you might need to look at it and say, okay, but why? I don't know. Have you guys done that with your own stuff too?
Yeah, drilling down like that. I mean, and again, it's another example of, asking yourself why for anything that's going on in your life, is huge. But for marketing, it's a great tool too, to kind of go, okay, where am I now and where do I want to be? And to not just leave it, right? Like you said, at that one place or that initial space or problem or idea or, creation or anything, but to really drill down, and as far as why is this important, and, tell yourself more, keep drilling down until the answer starts to get a little bit clearer, or the idea starts to get a little bit clearer as far as what needs to happen. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, Nicole, what you said is so true. this isn't an exercise in a vacuum. Like I can sit down and write the goals I have for the SBDC, right? I can do that anytime. But if I don't have Erica and Kia and Robin and John and all the people, my boss and other SBDCs we might want to partner with, then it's not going to matter. So, and if this is daunting to you, if this is a whole new process to you, speaking personally, I'm a horrible goal setter. I'm horrible. Full disclosure. But I know it's laudable. I know it's a good thing to do, but I'm not good at it. So make your business part of it. Make your customers part of it. How fun would it be if you own a retail or a coffee shop or a restaurant or a custom auto place, Brian, to have a sign up on the wall saying, I'm working on my 2022 goals. What should they be? Have fun with it and look for inspiration everywhere. Everything's just not locked in your noggin, right? There's inspiration everywhere. And you might get an awesome idea from a customer, a competitor, a partner, a stakeholder that you never even thought of. So keep your mind open. And I think, Nicole, that's really one of the best suggestions I've heard is to involve other people. Because we as a society tend to think of goal setting as a cerebral exercise and a solo exercise. But it doesn't have to, and probably it shouldn't be.
No, yeah.
No, I think it's really great too. And I just wanted to throw the example on the screen of drilling down because I don't know, with me, so my example for my own, again, these are marketing goals. I wasn't, there's lots of other kinds of business goals you can set too, which we won't get into at Marketing Monday. But the example thing that has been bugging me for myself for a while is that I really want to get up past 2,000 likes on Facebook. But what I realized is that's such a vanity metric and it actually doesn't matter. And I even a couple of years ago, I actually went on the black market and I bought 1,000 Facebook fans just to show how it didn't matter. So nothing good happened and nothing bad happened. So I actually started asking myself, okay, well, why is this bugging me? Why do I actually want this? And it was okay, I've been stuck for a while. Okay, I've been stuck for a while. Why do I feel like I've been stuck for a while? And I was okay, well, other than the live streams, I don't post a lot of content, I put a lot of effort into the live streams on my own page, but I don't post a lot of other content. Okay, but why don't I post a lot of other content? Oh, because I need time to write the content. And then, the solution I came to was I need help and I need time. And so I had to set up a little bit of a structure for some help and some time to be able to do that. But it wasn't about the stupid Facebook likes. This Facebook likes and me being bugged by it was a symptom of a problem that I want to solve for other reasons, not just for a vanity metric.
And so often it comes down to time and resources, right? So that was a great great drill down to get to that place. Okay, what do I need to do about my lack of time and resource here? So many people feel that with digital marketing for sure, but again, it's coming up with that solution. Yeah. Huge. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And I just sit with my stuff this weekend too, to prepare for this. So please enjoy that. Hope it won't feel too much like awesome. a therapy session here. But, and then what happens to me is that you come up with a lot of potential goals, right? Or a lot of things you could do, but you have limited time. You have other things to do besides marketing. So maybe picking a few of the most important ones and breaking them down. I find with most people we're and I do this to myself too. I'm I want to redesign my website. Okay. That's huge, right? So I need to break that down. That is a large goal, but I need to break it down into manageable chunks. Or maybe maybe I want to rebuild 5 certain pages, or maybe I need to sit down with this, a staff or run some A/B testing on the pages and see which ones aren't performing. That, there might be little things I can do, but I need to break it down a bit because the big goal I set is way too big. And I'm never going to do it because it feels too big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a minute.
No
I know. As far as picking those goals that you really want to focus on, the most important ones, and breaking them down. I was mentioning before, you sort of have your big, your marketing plan that's going to probably incorporate, many different strategies and that kind of thing. Hopefully not just digital marketing, right? I like to think too about, when you're thinking about a big strategy, your sort of meta plan for the year is to think, comprehensively and think about things that, are going to be integrated together. And you're always cross-marketing no matter what you're doing, and thinking about your whole plan that way. But once you get there, as far as, I've got digital marketing going on, I've got I'm, going to be on 10 podcasts this year, like the PR that goes along with some radio advertising, those kinds of things, or, where else am I putting my marketing efforts? Then getting down to breaking those specifics down and those mini goals within those specifics. I think a lot of people hear about SMART goals. It's one good way to do it. The SMART is an acronym. It starts for S is for specific. So you get really specific about those smaller goals, right? You want to make sure they're measurable, they're quantifiable, that you're saying, okay, I want to have the 2,000 Facebook likes by, March 1st of 2022, that kind of thing. You have to make sure that they feel achievable. That's the A, achievable, and reasonable, right? That's that reasonable stretch. So it feels like, something that's not, too way up here that you're not gonna make it happen, or that it doesn't feel like a cautious goal that's too easy, right? But that reasonable stretch. And then again, it's that timed, you have a very specific time to measure and that kind of thing for the year. So as far as getting to drilling down to those specifics, I think the SMART goals work for some people, and again, don't for others. But if you want to kind of follow that, it's a good way to go oftentimes. So.
And I think it can't be understated that you have to be specific. Say,
yeah.
I want to increase sales of what, how, where, and if you can't, if you're struggling with that, then think of the other questions that go with why: who, what, where, when, and how. So my arms are very far apart, right? And I'm tall, so they're very far apart. So if your goals are all up here, that's great, that's lofty, but how will you measure them? You can't measure this, you have to measure this. So, and that's where I'm going to go back to what Nicole said earlier, is bringing other people in. Do a reality check. Like if and let's be honest, we've all been in the position where, I'm going to a wedding in 2 weeks. I need to lose 10 pounds. Yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. So, instead of losing 10 pounds, maybe you look for an outfit that is more flattering on you. So when you're doing your goals, think of the same things. You're not going to get those 2,000 likes by next Friday. You're not. But break it down. How many likes per month does that mean? And how many likes per week? And what's my strategy? How am I going to get there? Well, I'm not going to get there by doing the same old thing. So what's going to get me there? So there's who, what, where, when, how, and why are really awesome questions to ask yourself to help quantify and really make embraceable those big lofty goals. Like, I want to be bigger and sell more stuff. So
yeah. Nicole, I don't know if you're talking.
Yeah, I think you're muted again, Nicole.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm a little slow today. I only had one cup of coffee.
We all are. It's okay.
All right. No, and this next one is inspired by you, Erica, the conversation that we had last week, which is about regularly checking in on your progress. Because it's really easy to write these down, put them in a notebook, and never look at them again. I actually have a little sticky note. I'm actually not at home right now, but at my home office, I have a sticky note on my computer with because I only have a few. I don't have 25. That would be too many. I just have a few, and I just keep them in front of me all the time, because that's how my brain works. Is I need to see it in front of me, or else I forget about it. Little neurodivergent of me, but whatever works for you. But some way to check in. Do you guys have ways that you check in with your own goals, kind of throughout the year, or what's your process like?
Yeah, I mean, I even, obviously your marketing goals should be written down. And again, getting into those specifics, right? And I think even reviewing them every month, and again, like Liz was saying, making sure that you're being transparent with your staff about your marketing goals, and making sure that hopefully they helped create them, like Liz is saying, that this was a team effort to get to the creative ideas, but also how to get to them and to make sure that they're implemented. At my store, we had monthly meetings, and I would say that 3/4 of the meeting, if not more, was about our marketing and what we're doing, and are we doing well, and what's it, how are we measuring, and that kind of thing, and making the decisions. And I think just like with an overall business plan, I think marketing plans, need to be, working documents that you're going, oh, okay, hang on, for some reason this isn't working, this year. Like I was actually doing, for my other business, was doing radio, a local business talk on a radio, but also doing some advertising that was going really, really, really well until COVID hit, right? So, total pivot. I mean, COVID, of course, pivots are, what they are, marketing or not. But just as an example, like they have to be something that you're working on all year long and revisiting and adjusting, right? As you go through that process of really figuring out if your marketing is working for you. And again, involving your staff in the beginning of that and also throughout, and getting their feedback and all that is so important in the process. Yeah.
Right, it is, and involving your staff. So we'll go back to Nicole's example of the 2,000 likes. Well, Nicole doesn't run a retail store or a restaurant. But if you did, and that was one of your goals, then incentivize your staff to get people to put a sign up, like us on Facebook every time. And if you give us your business card and then you like us on Facebook, we'll put you in the drawing to win a $25 gift card or whatever. One of our local businesses around here, just at the holidays, had a little promotion where it's a barbecue place. They had a little pig that they were hiding all over in the restaurant. And if you found the pig, they put your picture on Facebook with the pig. It's like an elf. It's not an elf on the shelf. It's the pig on the stick, or I don't know, something like that. And they put that person's picture on Facebook and they tagged that person. And of course, that person liked it, and their family liked it, and their friends liked it. And then they went to the page, and they did that all month long, and they gave away one $25 gift card. So they leveraged that promotion really well, and they told where it was found. She found it under the toilet paper dispenser. I don't know, wherever it was. It was once a day for the whole month. I thought it was really well done, and it didn't cost much at all. But it cost their time and attention. And that's another thing about marketing and setting goals. It doesn't always, can the camera even see that? It's not always about money. It's about your time, which is money. We're not minimizing that, but it's an investment. It's an investment in yourself and your business.
Right. And it's another reason why getting help, just like Nicole, your example today, and what we're talking about as far as getting, that it can't happen in that vacuum again, and because so much of marketing now is less money and more time, right? And getting help from your staff, and also, we can talk a little bit about getting customer feedback, which is so huge, especially as you're thinking about how your marketing went last year and what needs to change for the fall, for this year and that kind of thing. And we used to do a big survey box in my coffee house, especially as far as, hey, do you have new ideas for us or complaints or anything? And that was good. And I did a whole market research in my community before I even opened the store to find out, hey, do you guys really want this here? Is this, but I feel like we still could have done like so much more with customer surveys and feedback. And now it's easier than ever to do that. Because of our online capabilities. So
I think we should do a whole Marketing Monday on that, about how to get
customer feedback for sure.
I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, that'd be a goodie, because I feel like now looking back, I feel like I could have done so much more and gotten so much more out of just customer feedback as far as our marketing plans and everything else, that we needed to think about. Yeah,
absolutely. So maybe yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Liz.
No, there's a whole art to getting feedback. Feedback is a gift. Even if it's negative, it's going to help you. And one thing that we tell business owners all the time is, don't be defensive. Drop your defenses. No one, if they didn't like the sandwich from your shop, don't get mad at them. Don't get mad at your sandwich chef. Find out why. Well, the roll was stale. Oh, okay. Well, so then that's a specific measurable goal that you can ascribe to your operations, not marketing, but still, how do I ensure stale rolls don't get in the rotation? Or how can I teach my staff this is what a stale roll feels like? So just pitch those. But so
And that's another great drilling down to why. And it's a great way to kind of, even if you are feeling a little upset about the comment or something, but you're dealing directly with the customer, is that tell me more. That tell me more question, which will drill down to the why, so that you really have the answer that you need before you decide to get upset. Even I think is a really good way to react if you need to, whether it's an online review or you're talking to somebody in person or on the phone. Is oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Tell me more.
Right.
Yeah, get to the real answer. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes the real answer is that the person just doesn't like the products that you have. And you have to come to peace with that. There has to be a detente there somewhere, because, sometimes people tell us when we say at the SBDC, who's your customer? Everybody. Make the croutons. Yes, go ahead. That's right. Make the croutons with the stale rolls and make up a new salad that is mega profitable. See, there you go.
Love it. All right. Well, we definitely have to have a customer feedback.
I think so
Monday
too. I think that's a
soon.
whole.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing. And
I think it's a whole series. I think it's a whole series.
It could be. Could be. Absolutely. Well, and to get back to the goal setting part of the drilling down, it's whether you follow this particular protocol or not. It's 10 questions. And what I think is really helpful about these particular questions is that, we got another comment too I want to put on here. Yeah. Learn to wise, tell me more. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I love it. We're having some good comments today. Croutons and talking points and people watching. Love it. So what I appreciate about this particular, I guess, protocol that I use is the first two questions are what went well this past year and what did not go well this past year. You got to keep those separate. And it feels weirder for me for some stupid reason to sit with like the what went well questions. And so I did this exercise this past weekend. So this is a little bit of my brain. I just wanted to give people some ideas marketing wise that, and hopefully maybe this kind of sees that, you'll sit down and do this for yourself and you'll come up with similar kinds of things. But, brain dump results. I got my monthly newsletter out 11 out of the 12 months. So you know what? It wasn't perfect, but 11 out of 12, I know that's not quite how the song goes, that 11 out of 12 ain't bad, but pretty good, right? I've had my best year yet revenue-wise. I got my first 1,000 TikTok followers, which means I can now go live on TikTok. I finally got approved after a year for LinkedIn live streaming. I experimented with a new social network, and I got to guest star on a couple of my friends' YouTube channels, which increased my YouTube subscriptions. I found some great social media reporting software I liked for my clients. I got a new computer and I hired a new staff person. So those are all to me, it's like I went back and I was like, oh, right. I did that. And it's kind of nice to have an occasion to go back and see what you did, because as we just have been saying with this, there's all these things you could be doing and you could feel really guilty about that. But it's really important to sit, and especially if you're going to do this year after year, and see what you did accomplish, which is probably more than you think you did. And that kind of sets you in the good mood to actually do and I'll do my what went bad. My thing of getting bigger clients over a certain amount of month, is something that I have a couple, but I'd like a few more, my revenue was good, but my sales ratio went down. I saw in my project management system. So when I meet with new clients, less of them turned into customers. And I don't know whether that is a good thing or not. Something I'm noting here, right? I had less new client meetings in 2021 than I did in 2020. So I'm meeting less people. I think this is a pandemic thing, because I'm just not out in the world meeting people, right? But I started going through and looking through okay, how many meetings have I had? What does my QuickBook numbers look? So while I'm sitting and looking at the goals, I'm pulling in some other things too. And the stupid social media reporting software I got cannot do video views or live stream data, which is a fair bit of my social media content. And so part of me is okay, did I make a bad decision? I put a lot of thought into the decision and I thought I made a really good decision, but maybe they're all like that. Maybe they all do not have that capability because of the way the data is stored. I don't know. And I have a personal project that I haven't finished and it's bugging me. It's my own personal project. And so anytime paying work comes in, I always put it to the side, which means it didn't get done this year. But what I'm saying is like, it's really important to inventory that, because answering those two questions could give you an idea of, you know, making hay where the sun shines, or like actually fixing the things that you didn't get to. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. It's really helpful to see how specific you got about things. And also, I do want to go back and say, you know, right now with New Year and everything, it's a really good time to celebrate your wins from the last year, and make sure you don't blow that off. Like, actually do that, because it will it helps your motivation and your, you know, your drive to do what you need to do in the next year too. So remember to celebrate for sure.
And I will say too, like, those are just the marketing ones, because we're Marketing Monday and we're talking about marketing. But because I am in my business a lot, and maybe people watching this feel this way too, I had personal stuff mixed in, I had business stuff mixed in. If you want to do a completely separate kind of business and personal, but if you just want to get a lot of stuff out of your brain and some personal stuff gets mixed in, obviously for that slide, I just deleted the personal things because I felt like you guys probably didn't really want to know that anyway. And I just put the marketing things in, but I had other business things in there. I had some personal things in there. So it's natural for other stuff to come up as you know.
Yeah. And I think too, like even last year when we were talking a little bit through this, that, you know, we were thinking, oh, you know, we could talk about financial goals, operations goals, HR goals, marketing goals, you know, like, okay, we have to hone in for this week, but you can break things down that way too, you know, as well as any personal goals or wins or anything that you want to recognize and acknowledge too. So, yeah.
And you can start broadly with business goals and what worked well and what didn't work well for your business, and then keep going down. Like, it's the funnel, right? So soon you'll get down to things that can actually come through the other side of that funnel. So it just depends on how your brain works. If you're a person whose brain is really segmented and you can just laser focus on marketing, then go for it. But if you need to think about my business and what worked and what didn't work in the business, and then reflect on that a little bit, and then come up with marketing goals from that, then, like we've been saying, it doesn't matter what method you use. And if you want to some coaching on that, give us a call, because we have people who can help you with that at the SBDC. We can talk you through it. We can send you links. There's lots of stuff out there on it. I think the most important thing is don't skimp. Really, you know, I read an article the other day. I can't remember who even wrote it, but it really got me thinking. It said, if we're lucky, we have 4,000 weeks in a lifetime. And I thought, that's not even a lot, because think about how fast a week goes. So, you know, try to, however you need to do it, put it in perspective. You know, go from your full retirement age back, or how much money you want in your 401k, or how many locations you want, or whatever it is that you're interested in. So, and Renee just asked a great question. I think it is more prominent now. I'll go. I do think it's more prominent because of working from home, and also because I think our society is reconnoitering, right? I posted something on my personal Facebook page this week, and there's a bad word in there, so I won't say it. But it was a drawing of a metronome, and on one side of the metronome it says, "Life is great and it'll all work out," and on the other side it says, "We are so screwed." And it shows the metronome going back and forth. And I think I had more likes on that, and I don't have many Facebook friends. I had a lot of likes on that one, because I think all of us feel that way right now because of the pandemic. But also, I think all the stuff about the labor shortage and people opting out of the workforce. Personally, I think we have a wage shortage and a respect shortage. Eric has heard me say that 100 times, but I don't think there's a labor shortage. I think there's a wage and respect shortage. And so I think for a lot of people, I certainly was raised, and I'm one of those boomer Gen X cuspers. Work. It's work. Work is important. You have to work. You have to work. Work. I think people are really rethinking that, and that's one of the reasons I love Gen Z, because those kids know what is up, and they see the importance and the futility of watching their parents maybe not prioritize properly.
Yeah,
Right.
and this is a little off topic. Sorry, Nicole, but
No.
we'll blame Renee.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, but I think more and more I've always been so into work-life balance and fascinated about how we work. And actually, I'm reading a book right now called Do Nothing, which of course we're not all going to go do nothing and not work. We have to work. We want to work. We have, but I mean, I'm just into the beginning of this book, but I mean, it's talking about how it's really only been since the Industrial Revolution where we've started to work as much as we do. I mean, even before that, I mean, in the medieval ages when when there were people doing owned the little pieces of lands and were serfs, they still had like literally like half the year off.
Right.
And we are in such a flux that way. So I think if there's a silver lining to COVID, it's that we're kind of getting back into this balancing of personal and work. And that has everything to do with how we're going to plan our next year, or, for a lot of people, it does anyway, and rethinking things a little bit along those lines. And everything's interconnected. I was just going to say that when we were talking about, oh, should I work on my marketing goals or financial operations? But it's true that everything's connected. And if you can start to do those brainstorms, those most important things to you start to come out too. And I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking about and blending a little bit more our work and our personal lives too, as we think about that. So.
Right. Because, sorry, go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Liz.
I was going to say a goal could be better work-life balance. That possibly as a society, that should be everyone's goal. But as a small business owner, where you feel like you can't just turn it off, you can't just go home, but you can train yourself to think more freely about that. So if that's or selling your business or winding your business down, those are all laudable goals. You can make goals about anything. So I think that's
when there's burnout, as humans start to feel more and more, and then dealing with the pandemic plus working too much, right? It's like we have to understand that people before the Industrial Revolution they had times when they worked really, really hard and did 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but they knew they were going to get a huge break because there was a festival coming up or something to, a very long break. And it's just so different now for us. And we don't even realize, that us humans, we've not been living like this for centuries, this is new stuff. So we got to remember that. I'm reading Renee's message.
Yeah. So Renee has a really good comment here about, her coworkers at their hairdressing salon she was going to are not taking extra appointments because they're setting boundaries. And I think we're all kind of seeing that, this work thing is a long game. And I guess the reason I mentioned, because especially if you run a very small business, as you're doing this goal setting process, you're going to have maybe a mixture of things come up, and it's okay to organize it at the end. Like I said at the beginning, just let your brain think about the questions and organize it at the end. And just to kind of let you know, in case you're not going to the first two questions are what went well last year, and the second question is what didn't go well last year. The other questions are just leading up. And how the way that this book does it is you pick a role in your life that you want to sort of concentrate on. Maybe you want to be a better dog owner. Maybe you want to be a better mother. Maybe you want to be a better, supervisor, whatever. That's the way this particular protocol is set up. And you eventually get to the goal setting part of it. But if you just want to skip to the goal, what went well and what didn't, and then what are some potential goals, and you've dumped them all out. I did want to say, if you have a lot, which I tend to usually have a lot of things that I would like to do differently, or I'd like to do the coming year, if you need to narrow it down, if I'm looking at stuff, I was thinking, what makes me narrow down to something? What makes me move this goal into the list that I'm going to be considering for the upcoming year? And the first thing is fixing broken things. And what I mean by this is, for example, we have a yearly employee retreat, and we've had it for 10 years. And the first year we had it 10 years ago, one of my employees brought up, we need a more secure way to store client passwords. That was a broken thing. And it was something I wanted to deal with. But when she brought it up, I was I wanted to be a little bit defensive, and I wanted to be well, our email's encrypted, and we have it in a, I get it. I also want to be kind of defensive, but I was you know what, this is a broken thing. And while it's not hurting anybody right now, it could. And so that went to the top of the list, even though like it wasn't earning us any money. It wasn't, it took us like we had to research a system and then put everything into the system. And then, like this is like probably a week's worth of work for one person to do all this stuff, but it was a broken thing that needed fixing. So that went to the top of the list. Even if something that isn't visibly broken to other people, if you know it's broken, just fix it, because it's going to come and bite you in the butt if you don't. And then the second thing is like, okay, well, like what aligns with your business goal or mission or something? You probably have something that you've set up your whole business around. And so for me, it's like, I want to help small businesses do more online. That's like my little tagline that I use internally and externally for stuff. So when the SBDC approaches me about doing a live stream, that aligns with my goals. If an insurance company wants to pay me to, I don't know, delete files off their server, that does not align with my goals. Although I'm sure they'd probably pay awesome. But but that's part of the decision if I'm looking at goals, right? Dealing with what's bugging you from last year. Also, like if there's a certain thing I've moved 3 times, it's been bugging me for 3 years. Like I need to deal with that because it's going to keep bugging me. And obviously as a business owner, if it's something that can make you money or reduce your costs, like that's, so like if you're looking at your list and it fits one of these things, or maybe it fits a couple of these things, I say move it to the do list. I don't know. I don't know how you guys.
No, or at least to the let's figure out how to do list.
Right.
It may not, it may be so sort of amorphous that, well, I don't know how we do that, but that's okay. It's okay to have that and then figure out how to break down those things. The best goals are, we were talking measurable and specific and, but also the best goals are ones that will propel your business forward, propel you forward as an owner and a person, propel your employees forward. So, figure out what those are. They don't all have to be measurable by internal factors. They can be externally measurable.
Yeah, and I also think too, when you were talking about a huge point as far as aligning those goals to the value, the core beliefs, the mission of the business. And I think also if you have a huge long list that you go, I just cannot get these prioritized, or what do we do first, and what should be off the list entirely for 2022 or something, to be able to sit down and, look at your mission. And if you don't have one already, now is maybe the time to get with your staff and create that mission and those core beliefs, and then take each goal really and go, does this align? Does this make sense for what we're trying to do here? And it'll help you eliminate some of those ones, some of the other ones, if you're feeling overwhelmed that way by what was brought up as far as what, potential things that could be done in your marketing this year and beyond. So, yeah. Sure, Nicole, we can put that up if you want. We just kind of, just a little bit of a summarization probably of what we talked about, because we're getting to the end already here. We've been chatty today. But just sort of that best practices for setting 2020 marketing goals. We've talked about all this, blocking off the time for planning. To start with why, I think I put up here, there's a YouTube talk from Simon Sinek, probably a lot of you know about. This is a little bit of a different why than what we've been talking about today, but again, it emphasizes the importance of why. He's more talking about sort of the purpose of a business, and to, really drill down to the why in a way that, so that your customers sort of believe what you believe in, right? Versus just the what and the how and all that. So it's just an interesting kind of YouTube if you want to take a look at it, especially if you're just thinking about your business. You're really starting to think, you're in that ideation creation piece of it. It's interesting to hear what he has to say. He uses Apple as a great example. So, these are kind of more sort of, concepts to think about versus what we talked a little bit more about today as far as drilling down into your marketing plan. But again, I mentioned thinking comprehensively and integrated marketing plan, making sure it's well-rounded and that it all works together, your co-marketing, that if you have, print advertising is a little outdated, but if you do some print advertising, making sure that your social media information is on there, your website has your social media and vice versa, and making sure that you have cross-marketing going on with your plan. Again, we talked about looking back on last year. Nicole had lots and lots of great recommendations as far as what worked, what didn't, those kinds of things. Super important. Getting feedback from customers, like we talked about, and also from staff. Remember to be open with your staff. Make sure that they feel comfortable bringing new ideas to the table, and also bringing up issues if they think there are holes in the marketing plan, that kind of thing. And then again, asking for help. That can be from your staff. Again, could be from anybody, and it's also could come from the SBDC office in Watertown, Oswego too. We're here to help you guys if you need it with marketing assistance or anything with your business, whether you're just starting or growing in 2022. So.
Yeah.
And
so
Erica, did you put the link to that Simon snippet that we watched earlier in the?
It's a long link. If you just Google Simon Sinek start with Y, it'll totally pop up. It was just a super long YouTube link, so I didn't put it in the chat, or I didn't put it here.
Yeah, it's a great thoughts. I think it's a great starter for people. And we thought about sharing it here, but it seemed a little too long. And as Nicole pointed out, we've been a little chatty. Maybe we're chatty. And you can think, well, he's talking about Apple. That's a $80 billion organization. So what? So then think about how it applies to your business, because the goal setting, the asking why, the drilling down in your mind, the involving your customers, your staff, your family, your stakeholders, that's universal, whether you're doing $1,000 a year in sales or 1,100 billion. So
yeah, I think he's also making the point that that's why they were successful, is because they created, it wasn't just the what they did or the how, but the why. They believed in their product, and they, their customers, so that, and he talks a lot about, targeting early adopters, right? And making sure that that's a huge piece. It's like, well, how do you identify your early adopters? Why are they your early adopters? And just kind of thinking about, very cerebrally thinking about these kinds of things as you're thinking about, bringing a product to market and then marketing it, I think are good resources out there. Yeah. As is the 10 questions in his book, or going online and finding them. I think that's really good stuff too. Yeah.
Whatever protocol you want to use, I guess what I want to say is my favorite thing to do is I like to think about future Nicole, and I like to do things for her. And when I don't feel like doing something, I think I'm doing this for future Nicole. And so I don't know, do this for next year you, because you're going to look back on stuff and you're going to have gotten some things done. And like I said, I look back at the problem. I look back at the retreat notes and the goal setting and stuff I had from years ago, and I look at where I am now, and you still have problems, but they just become like less critical or and they become, I don't know, you always want more fun problems, right? Like they end up being, so
yeah. Awesome.
So whatever process you use, I hope you goal set. And if you are watching this later on and you've set a goal and you want to put it out there, feel free to leave it as a comment wherever you're watching this video on YouTube or Facebook. And maybe the Watertown SBDC can support you. So thanks, Liz, and thanks, Erica, for all your insights on goal setting. And we'll see you all next week for Marketing Monday. And in the meantime, set some goals. Happy what year are we going into? Oh yeah, 2022.
We'll see you next year.
And we'll see you next year.
What are we
all right.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Take care.
January 13th, 12 noon.
Yes.
We're doing a Facebook Live with Amanda Stickle, who's our MVP accountant and bookkeeper extraordinaire, who's done a bunch of stuff for us. We've been partnering with her since the beginning of the pandemic, and she is using her strategically. That was a goal of ours. We did it, and it's helped our center. So see, there you go. Thursday, the 13th of January at 12 noon, Amanda will be talking about tax planning for the new year. So hope you join us then, and hope you join us on Monday, the 3rd of January, 2022 for another installment of Marketing Monday.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you next year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye. Happy New Year.